I don't want to waste your time, so give me 30 seconds to explain 3 things that you'll take away from this episode to see if you should stick around. Number one, if you are in a job right now that you hate and you want to escape, but you have no idea how, trust me, this episode is for you. Number two, if you are someone who struggles with getting opportunities, and then once you have an opportunity, maximizing them. I'm talking about networking. I'm talking about soft skills. I'm talking about systems to actually get and maximize opportunities. I would stick around. And then number three, if you are someone who struggles with discipline and consistency, we are about to share the secret trick from West Point that they share with all their cadets to make them the hardest and most disciplined young men in the entire country. So with that being said, if you get value from this video, give us a like, give us a subscribe, and enjoy the show.
Is it public knowledge that you've quit your job yet or no?
By the time this drops, it will be. So we can dive deep into all this stuff.
Oh yeah.
But anyway, all right. So it's New Year's. I always love asking people the question, like, what do you do for your New Year's prep? Try to get dialed in for 26.
You know, funnily enough, I've kind of been thinking about that all morning. Is like, okay, cool. What am I gonna do? What I usually do is the first thing that I like to do is I write down a couple of goals, but I don't like write them down on like my notes app. Like I gotta like put pen to paper, or else it feels like not real.
Yeah.
But I usually will pick like one or two big ones for the year, right? So like, I don't know, like last year or a couple of years ago, it was land a full-time job in, videography, photography, sports content creation, that kind of thing. So that was like my big goal for the year where I was like, okay, cool. Like at the end of this year, if I could do one thing, what do I want it to be? That's like my big one. And then I'll like throw in some little ones as well, like whether those are like business or personal or just like, I don't know, stupid shit that like I want to try to do. I don't know. But I like to kind of write down a couple of big ones, like umbrella ones, where like if that's the only thing I do, like great, then that means I had a great year. And then I add in some like auxiliary ones as well, where I'm like, okay, cool, these would be fun to like complete throughout the year.
What's your process for identifying those? Because something I've found is, dude, when you really have to pick like a single objective in your life, like this is the one thing I want to accomplish, this is what I want to be known for, it's actually way harder than you think because your mind starts going to, it's terrifying.
Yeah.
Do you have a process to go about and figure that out?
So usually like the thing that I like to do is I will kind of write down like everything that I want to do over the course of like a year, right? So like maybe I have 10 different things I write down and they're all kind of different. Maybe one is like a fitness goal, maybe one is a business goal, maybe one is a certain amount of followers on Instagram, maybe one is like, I don't know, getting better relationships with my family or friends or things like that. And then I'll kind of look at everything that I want to do. Like I'm imagining, okay, cool, everything goes right for this whole year and everything works out. And this is all the things that that I have done through the end of the year. And I'll look at one of them, and one of them usually will kind of stick out, and I'll be like, okay, this one would be the most transformative, right? Like this one would be the biggest one for me. Now I'm like, okay, cool, that's my big one, and the rest of them will kind of fall into place as I start doing the steps to achieve that big one. But I think that like as long as there's a lot of things that you can focus on, right? Like you could have, if you have 50 different goals throughout the year, in my opinion, you're going to get none of them done. That's just like kind of the way that I think about it. So I kind of like to write down everything. And then I'm like, okay, which one of these, by doing the steps to get to this one, that's going to be the one that's going to actually transform most of my life. So like, for example, let's say you wanted to get jacked in 2026, or like you wanted to lose a bunch of fat or whatever. And like, maybe you have a bunch of other goals as well, but like, because you're kind of being lazy with your nutrition and you're not going to the gym and you're not doing any of that, that bleeds over into everything else. So maybe because you're, oh, I'll just take an extra rest day here, then you're also not posting on Instagram because you're just kind of taking an extra rest day there. And you're not calling your friends because whatever, I'm just taking an extra rest day there. So like those things start to compound where if you're like, okay, I'm going to focus on getting better in the gym and eating right. Now you start doing that and it's like, okay, well now I'm starting to build discipline here. I can start doing that. Now, you know what? I didn't skip the gym today, so I'm not going to skip that Instagram post today, or I'm going to call my mom today, or I'm going to do this, or I'm going to do that. So like, I like to kind of look at one, use that as like an umbrella goal, and then it kind of just starts to bleed over into everything else that you want to do throughout the course of the year.
Yeah, momentum's actually the most real thing. I'm gonna post a video later today, explaining why I don't go out on New Year's anymore. And I don't want to be the guy that be like, you get so many of them. It's like, lock the fuck in, bro. Like wake up. Genuinely, I'm just trying to explain why I don't do this, and it relates to that principle. There's a couple of years ago, I think It was the fall of 2023. This was probably a month. This was the month where stuff just flipped in my mind. And I said, I'm done screwing off. Like right now is the moment that I'm going to change my life for the next 63 years until I want to retire. But in that moment when stuff was going and clicking, that New Year's, I was planning to go out with a couple of friends. Like we were going to go out to the bars, but I wasn't 21 yet. So they were all going to go to the bars where you needed a real ID. And so by some grace of God, it didn't turn out. I couldn't go. I went to bed probably at 10 o'clock that night, spent it reflecting. I woke up the next morning probably at 7 and hit a workout. And it just kind of clicked in that moment. It's like, bro, what type of person, like I'd be a hypocrite if I'm all about going and making good things happen in my life. But then the night before the beginning of the year, I go out and get banged up and I wake up at noon and I'm hungover. Like, first of all, the best day,
Yeah.
it's stupid. The best day to start is today. So if I'm going to tell myself I'm do something, it has to be today. But it's also momentum is a real thing. It's like you get that one little goal, everything else becomes easier because you feel like you've done stuff that has made it worth your while. So it's like, all right, tap in. I've done this good. Boom. Let's handle everything else and hit the ground running.
Yep.
So, yeah.
100%. I mean, I feel the exact same way about just like even going, not even just New Year's, but like just going out in general. I feel like if you're going out, okay, if you go out and like whatever, you casual night, like fine, that's cool. But like if you go out and you get fucking banged up and you're like, the next day is just ass and you don't get anything done. Like all the things you're like, oh, I'm going to do that tomorrow morning or tomorrow afternoon. You're just like, I don't want to do any of that. I don't want to get out of bed. I don't want to do any of this. And then it's like, that's a shitty next day. And then like, it just kind of gets you spiraling down where it's like, all right, well, I didn't really do anything yesterday. I'll just do it tomorrow. And that whole, like, I'll do it tomorrow thing is just like, tomorrow never comes. There is no, it's always today. You get what I'm saying? Tomorrow, every time you tell yourself you're going to do something tomorrow, it's never actually tomorrow. It's always today. And the more you tell yourself, the more you rely on tomorrow, the less things you get done because tomorrow never actually comes.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's kind of a fugazi. But anyway, you've got like an interesting, really, really interesting story with how you started off and then what you built up and now where you're at right now. But you started off what? You were working in the hospital?
I started off doing professional recruitment. So like your headhunting. I was in like the architecture and engineering space. I was working for like a private firm in Manhattan. So I was taking the train into the city every day. But that was like my first job out of college was just headhunting. So like on LinkedIn, messaging people, cold calling people like all day, every day. And like, to be honest with you, like it was like a little bit miserable. Like it was, the people I worked with were cool. And like, that was kind of like what made it bearable. But like the job itself was just so repetitive and like pick up the phone, get shut down, hang up the phone, dial a new number, pick up the phone, get shut down, hang up the phone. It was just like, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it anymore. And I was like, you know what? Like I can't spend the next 40 years trying to cold call people. Like I can't do it. And then the next thing that I went into was working in the hospital. I was doing finance there. So suit and tie every day at work, doing just like straight Excel. So like I'm low key like a wizard at Excel now, which is cool. But like it's kind of useless now because I don't use it ever. But like I am pretty nice with it now. But yeah, so went from headhunting to the hospital, and I was just like, dude, like there was no like fulfillment in what I was doing. Like I would go and like it, like whatever, it paid the bills, like it was fine. But like to spend 40 hours a week doing something that just like was not fulfilling in the slightest was just like miserable. I was like, I don't want to do it anymore. So I was like, you know what? Like I'm gonna try to do this thing. I'm gonna try to make this dream happen. And that's kind of like, you know, everything that I'm sure we'll get into, but like that was just the turning point where I was just like, I can't come here and sit at a desk for 8 hours straight and do Excel and do this for 40 more years. Like I can't do it. I won't do it. I have to try something, and I can always come back to doing this after if I have to. If it fails and it fails miserably and I'm broke and I have no money and nothing works out, I can always come back and do Excel for 38 more years if that's the case.
And the dream was what?
So I would go on Instagram and TikTok and I would see these guys and they would be like full-time videographers, photographers for athletes and slash or sports teams. And to be 100% honest with you, I feel like most people have no idea what they really want to do when they get out of college. Like,
Yeah.
I think that like you go to college and you're forced to pick a major at like 17 or 18 years old when you graduate high school, and it's kind of like, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. And like, dude, I am a completely different person from who I was when I was 17 graduating high school. Like, completely and utterly different. And I kind of chose like a business path then, and I was like, okay, I guess that's what I'll do because that's what everyone else does. Is everyone's a business major. But I got out of college and I had literally no idea what I wanted to do. And I'm going through these different jobs and whatnot. And it kind of got to the point where I was like, okay, I had to kind of sit down and look at myself and be like, what do you like? Like, what do you like to do? What do you want to do? What would like make you happy and excited to do for the next 40 to 50 years? Cause like you can't just do something that you hate forever. So I was like, okay, what do I like? And I was like, you know what? Like I did a little bit of photography in high school. To be honest with you, I got like kind of made fun of like crazy. Like, I mean, you were in high school once, like, like anything that's more on like the creative, like arts side of things
They're
is
calling you fruity. They're saying you're
yeah,
fruity.
yeah. They'd be like, dude, like this is what are you doing? Like this whole thing is so fruity. Like, why are you doing this? Like that's literally that's what happened. And like,
Yeah.
I mean, you've been in high school, everyone's been in high school. Like anything that like kind of just strays from that norm, even a little bit, is like weird. Like you're a weirdo if you're not just doing what everyone else is doing. So I tried it then, and to be honest with you, I kind of gave up on it a little bit when I got to college. It just kind of fell to like the back burner. But I had that experience, and when I'm sitting there and I'm looking at myself in the mirror and I'm like, okay, what do I like to do? I'm like, you know what? Like I really like photography and cameras,
Mm.
and I like all that. And I have a little bit of experience because I did that in high school, and I have a bit of, I know kind of how they work. I'm like, okay, cool. What else do I like to do? And I'm like, well, I like sports. I like watching sports. I like going to sporting events. I think athletes are cool. And I am a 5'9" washed up white boy from Long Island. So being like an athlete was no longer an option. But I was
Right.
like, okay, how can I get as close to the game as possible without having to be on the field, like performing? And I was like, you know what? Like, I want to combine these two things, this love for cameras and this love for sports. And I was like, people are doing this. Like, there are people out there who work full time for teams, who work full time for athletes. Like, this is possible. I have no connections. I don't know anybody. I don't know I'm going to do any of it. But I was like, I'm going to fucking do it. I was like, I'm just going to sheer brute force my way into this industry.
Mm.
And that was just what I decided to do.
But at what point in your life you decided that? You decided that in the hospital job?
Yeah. I decided it at the hospital. I had a boss. She's very sweet. She's like a year or two younger than me. And I was like, she was just like telling me to rip Excel all day. And it would be like, just do this, do this, do this. And I was like, dude, I can't. I was like, and I remember sitting back down at my desk one day, looking at this Excel document that I had built out, and it's taken me like months to do. And I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. I was like, I looked at it and I was like, I cannot do this. I was like, I will do this until another opportunity arises. And that was kind of like when the mindset shifted of like, okay, I don't enjoy what I'm doing. I went from I don't enjoy what I'm doing and I have no way out to I don't enjoy what I'm doing, but it's going to pay my bills until I can do what I love to do. And that was like right there, was just sitting at my desk. I was like, this is no longer like my end goal, like this job. This is like a proxy for like what I actually want to do, because I need money to like live and be a human being
Yeah.
until I can get this to work. But it was at the hospital. So this is like 2023, 2024 about. I got my first job in July of 2024. So like the 6 to 8 months prior to that was when I made this mindset shift, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like,
Okay, so the mindset shift happens. Boom. And the way I describe it for myself was it was December 15th. It was I came back after an amazing weekend. It was a beautiful weekend, spent some time with friends, did a lot of content, was up late that Sunday night recording content, and then I had to get up super early. I missed my workout and got into the office, and I just remember sitting in my chest, just a sheer emotion of resentment for what I was doing and how this shit is wasting my time. And I was so angry. And in that moment, I knew that I was going to make the decision to quit next week. Next week, Monday, I'm going to quit. So that's what was happening in my mind. But actively during that time, it's boom. Stuff has to start changing. I needed to start taking action steps. But my situation's a little bit different because I had money saved up from content. And so I can live by my means for a little bit. It doesn't sound like you had a ton of money. Like you needed that job to start paying the bills. So the moment you feel that resentment, boom, I'm done. What steps did you actually start taking to make your dream a reality? Because I think that's the hardest thing for a lot of people.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like paralysis. What do I do?
Well, I agree 100%. And I'll also tell you that I don't think you can make that drastic of a change without having like an extreme emotional reaction to the environment that you're in, right? So like if the environment that you're in is just like fine and you're coasting along, like and it's like it's not that bad, it's like whatever, I can do it. Like then you won't like there's no need to change, right? Where like you're sitting in your chair and you like have actual feelings of resentment for your job, like you hate it. And
Yes.
that you need that to spark that change. And I kind of had the same thing where I was like, what the fuck am I doing? Like why am I sitting here doing Excel? Like I'm not like this is not what I want to do. I have no business being here. I hate this. And I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to make that change. And the steps that I took were I was like, okay, cool. I went home and I remember sitting at my desk and I broke it down where I was like, okay, if I want to do this, what's the first thing that I need to learn? And I was like, okay, if I want to be an athlete or an athletics videographer, well, the first thing I need to do is learn how to use a camera. So I was like, okay, cool. So that was my first step where it was like, I would go home, I'd go on YouTube, I would look up like I had bought myself a camera. That was like what I spent all my money on. My mom was like, you're an idiot. And I was like, no, it's gonna work. It's gonna work. And she was like, well, you're an idiot. I was like, okay, fine, whatever. So I bought myself a camera and a lens, and then I would go home literally every day after work. I would just sit there and be like, okay, what am I going to watch tonight? Like, I'd go on YouTube. What are the best settings on a Sony A7 III for sports videography? And I'd watch that video, and then I'd find another one. And I'd watch that video, and I'd find another one. And I'd watch that video, and I would write down notes. And I'd be like sitting there with my camera, and I'd be like, okay, let me learn how to change this setting. Let me learn how to do this.
Damn.
And I just did that for weeks, and it was just like because I felt myself working towards a goal, it didn't feel like work. Like, during the day, I'm sitting there at work and I'm doing Excel and I'm like, this sucks. Like, I don't want to be putting these formulas into these things. But then I get home and I'm like, it was kind of like an escape where it was like, okay, the more that I do here, the less I'm going to eventually have to do at work, meaning like I can leave that. The more I figure this out, the quicker I can leave that job that I hate. So it was kind of like an escape where it was like, it didn't feel like I was like studying and doing work and it wasn't like dreadful to do. It was like fun where I was like, oh, like now I know how to do this. I figured this part out. Like, great. So that was like the first thing I did was I learned every button on that goddamn camera, what it did, how it worked, like when to use certain things. And then I was like, okay, cool. I know how to use this camera. I have no body of work to show for myself. So I was like, okay, how am I going to get some clients? Like I need some sort of portfolio if I want to get a job. Like no one's going to hire me just because like I want to get hired. That's great. But like, I can't walk into an interview and they're going to be like, well, what have you done? And I'll be like, I learned how to use my camera. Like
watch YouTube videos.
Yeah, I watched hella YouTube. So I was like, all right, let me figure out how I'm going to get some clients. My brother was a senior in high school at the time. And we're from Long Island. Long Island football is like not great, but he was a senior in high school. He was captain of his football team. And I remember the year prior when he was a junior, he was like, hey, you should come in. Cause I had like talked about doing this whole thing. And I was like, I talked about it a lot. And we'll get into that where I personally think that talking about things is like the worst thing that you can do for progress. Like I think that telling people your plans is like quite literally the most detrimental thing you can do for a dream is tell people about it. We'll get into that in a second. But so when he was a junior,
yeah,
he was like, you should do it. Like, I know you want to do it. And I was like, yeah, or maybe whatever. Yeah, I'll do it. And I didn't do it. And then now he's a senior. And this is my last opportunity to kind of like have an in with some sort of athletic team. Granted, they're not great, but I was like, you know what? Like, I'm going to do it. So I started with his high school football games, built out like a little bit of a portfolio, started posting my stuff on Instagram. And this was like my mom and like the other moms on like the football team would like comment and be like, this is so good. And I was like, yeah, like that was it. So I started doing that. And then that went from, I built out a little bit. And then, dude, I would literally go home and the time that I used to spend learning how to use my camera, I then replaced that time with, I'm going to outreach as many people as possible until somebody says yes to me.
Wow.
And if I reach out to enough people, somebody will say yes to me. And I literally would go online. I found every like D1, D2, D3 college athletics program in driving distance of me, literally like within like 4 hours of driving. And I would go to their staff athletic directory page. I would find anyone that looked even remotely close to like what I was trying to do. So like operations, media relations, creative services, like all these different people that were on there because they're all available online. And I was like, I'm just gonna email every single one of these people. And I would reach out to them and I was like, hey, my name's Beau Rochler. I'm a photographer, videographer from Long Island. I'm trying to build out my portfolio. This is, I'll do this all for free. You can use anything that I use. I just want to be at the game with a credential. And I would send, like, I could pull out my email right now. And if I search like .edu in my sent, like I did it the other day for an Instagram video, you could just scroll. There's hundreds of emails in there, just literally basically begging people to let me come and shoot their games. And then it worked. And it was like, okay, cool. Now I'm at a Stony Brook basketball game. Okay, cool. Now I'm at a Fordham football game. All right, this is starting to work. Like, okay, cool. Now I'm shooting Mississippi State basketball at a like an in-season tournament at I shot them twice. I shot them at Prudential Center, which was like the coolest thing at that time, which is where like the Devils play. So like big ass arena. Shot them. And then I was at UBS, shot them there also, which was where the Islanders play. They turned it into a basketball court. But like, so now it's like starting to work and like compound and like snowball a little bit where it's like, okay, the more people that I can get to say yes to me and the more I go and do a good job, then the better chance I have of another person saying yes to me afterwards, because now I have more work in my body of work. And that just kind of snowballed. And then it was like, okay, I went from high school football to college basketball. I was working with some NBA players because I met like a trainer and he was like, hey, can you come shoot some content for me? I was like, fuck yeah. So I did that. And then like, yeah, it just kind of like snowballed. I had this portfolio and then I was like, all right, I'm going to start applying to jobs. Then that time that was for learning the camera, then that was for outreach, is now for applying to jobs. So I applied to like, dude, I applied to jobs from New York to Florida to California to fucking Washington State. Like anywhere and everywhere I could apply to, I applied to.
Yeah.
Probably got to like 200 different applications and then finally got one at West Point, got that job at West Point.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of like, I guess, I mean, that was like a long-winded answer a little bit, but those were like the steps. It was, what are the hard skills that I need to teach myself? And then how do I actually get into the environment where I can do the thing that I want to do and do it well? And then how can I turn all those experiences into one consolidated portfolio that would have somebody look at it and be like, I want to hire this guy. So those were the 3 steps.
Remind me, from the day you made your decision to West Point, how long was that?
I started in about September of 2023.
Okay.
And I landed my first job at West Point. My first day was like July 15th, 2024. So September 2023 to July of 2024.
Less than a year.
Less than a year. Yeah, less than a year. Less than a year from literally nothing, no experience, like I didn't know fucking jack shit about ass. And then I'm full-time job like less than a year. It was crazy, but
that's the thing that blows my mind is you had no experience
none
with a camera. Like literally no experience.
I did a little bit of photography in high school, but that's it.
Yeah.
And that was actually like 7 years prior.
I'm reading this book right now, or I'm listening to this book. It's called Mastery. It's by Robert Greene, one of the best authors in the entire world. But he talks about, there's a couple of things that work into mastery. And essentially the concept of mastery is it's like an apprenticeship. So for you, an example would be, you want to be, I don't know what your long-term goal is, but let's just say you wanted to film a creative media company, whatever that is. It's kind of doing the steps that you're doing right now. It's getting in somewhere, learning the ropes, understanding a mentor, and then gradually working your way up. But in this concept of mastery, he mentions that urgency is a really, really big thing. And urgency leads to intense focus. And one of the biggest gaps in a lot of people's lives, and mine included, is your ability to remember things. And he said when urgency's up through the roof and you intensely focus on something so strongly, your ability to retain information and learn and grow 100x's. And it can't, in your situation, it sounds like that's what's going on. Like there's such a strong resentment. You don't have any experience. It's you against the world right now. And so your ability to go out and watch this YouTube, boom, 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 learn and grow, understand all this stuff, like the learning process was just tenfold. Isn't that a fascinating thing to think about? Like that's what was going on in your brain that gave you such a competitive edge.
What's crazy is like you putting it into words, because obviously I'm experiencing it as I'm going through it, right? Like I'm sitting there and like I wasn't ever like I got good grades in school, but like I never enjoyed sitting and studying. Like it was never like a thing. Like I that whole like aspect of just like sitting and focusing on one thing. Like I could focus on a video game for like hours at a time, but studying and learning like that like never really came naturally to me. Like I didn't enjoy it. And then like I would go home and I would be excited to sit there and take notes about this stuff. And I was like, why is like what is the difference here? And it's exactly what you're saying, where it's like I have this sense of urgency where it's like I need to get out of this job because I hate it. And the clear path of how I get out is I just do this work. And then it gave me such intense, I mean, exactly what you just said, like such an intense focus every day where I was like excited to go and like sit there and learn and teach myself and grow. Like it's wild to like put that into words and like you're reading about that. And that is quite literally exactly what I was feeling. I just like didn't really understand. I mean, I understood why, but like no one had ever put it into that perspective for me, which is very interesting to listen to.
And it's something you brought up earlier. It's like to make such a big career and life choice, there needs to be a very strong emotional reaction. And when you get that strong emotional reaction, urgency comes at the core of it. But now, like we think about a time in your life, and I love to give the example of this. So, like before getting to college, it sometimes was a struggle to get up early in the morning. I'm like, bro, like you want me to get up? This is hell. Like this is the hardest part of the day. I'm ripping snooze 1,400 times. I just can't get up, and I can't operate with no sleep. I'd be having to take naps during the day. And then I got to college, and I'm playing college baseball, and we are getting up at 5:20 a.m. probably 5 days a week during the spring. I have no other option. Like my back's against the wall. I'm forced and I need urgency to get up and then actually be able to sustain energy throughout the day. And so the thing I'm getting with this is like whatever you have to do in your life to manufacture some sort of force or urgency is going to give you a competitive advantage against 100% of people. That's the biggest thing I'm worried about right now. And I've dedicated kind of my New Year's goals to is like understanding how to manufacture now urgency in my life when I don't have corporate America to make me like, oh, you got to pick your shit up and you got it because you got to escape. But I bet it's the same thing, bro. When you come home from Excel and you're sitting there, don't you just did you have like a rush of energy and you weren't even tired and you could just keep pushing through? Like walk me through that.
Dude, I would sit there at that desk and I'm doing like Excel stuff and I would just be like this. Like just,
Yeah.
I'm not enough. I gotta get up. I'm walking around my office. Like I have no like energy to be there. I don't want to be awake. Like I don't want to be sitting there and doing that. And that's like the whole day. That's from when I would get there at 9 a.m. and when I would leave at 5. It was like the whole day would just drag. I was exhausted. I'd get in my car. I'd go home. I'd work out after, which I think would help because you work out a lot. It gets you like, it kind of gets everything going. But I'm exhausted all day. I would go home, force myself to do a workout, and then I'm sitting at my desk and I'm like, dude, I would be up till like 2 a.m, like laser focused, like wired to the dome, just like, okay, cool. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this. Maybe I should go to bed. Nah, fuck it. I'm gonna stay awake. Like I'm gonna do more. Like I had nothing. I had none of that at work. Like I couldn't get that when I'm doing some bullshit for someone that I don't want to work for. But when it's for me, and like I know that it's actively bettering me, I'm sitting there and I'm like, I never want to stop. I'll stay up all night if it means that like I can figure this thing out or I can learn how to do this or whatever. Like, so like when it's, I mean, you're 100% right. Like I had no energy to do anything at work. And then I would get home and I would be like, I could do this forever. Like if I never have to stand up out of this chair, I would do it.
Let's talk about something you brought up that I freaking love you brought up. You said never, ever overshare. Never tell people about what you've got working on or what you're going to do. Break that down.
Dude, I personally believe that the worst thing that you can do if you actually want to achieve a goal is to tell somebody in detail how you're going to achieve it. And the reason why I say that is because the second that you go and you tell, let's say, again, I'll use the same example. I want to get jacked this year. And you go and you tell your buddies, I'm going to go to the gym every day and I'm going to lift these weights and I'm going to eat right and I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And I'm going to be, you'll see, I'm going to have abs in 6 months and you guys will see. The dopamine hit that your brain gets from just saying that out loud, you feel like you've accomplished it already and you have not. And in saying that out loud and telling people, the more people you tell about what you're going to do, and you overshare, hey, I'm going to do this. Yeah, I'm going to do this. I'm going to the gym crazy this year. Yeah, I'm going to do it. You tell all these different, you tell your mom, you tell your dad, you tell your brothers, you tell your friends, you, you're getting that dopamine from it. And it's like, your brain doesn't think you have to do any of those things anymore because in your head, you've already achieved it. And because the more people that I tell, the more that I tell people that I'm doing this thing, the less that I have to do actually, because I'm already, I'm speaking it out loud, and so that means it's real, right? And like, I think that this applies to like anything where like when I was trying to do this transformation, I didn't tell anybody about any of it. Like I started a new Instagram. I started posting on it. I didn't tell fucking anybody about it. I was sitting there learning things. I wouldn't tell a soul what I was doing because I was like, if I tell someone that I'm doing this or that I'm trying to achieve this goal, I'm gonna hit a roadblock of like, I feel like I've done it already. So that focus is gonna go away because I got that dopamine hit from doing it. And I think that no matter what your goal is, just you can tell people, yeah, I'm hitting the gym this year, whatever. But like the more detail that you give and the more you overshare about your plans and like the things you want to do, in my opinion, the worse off you are because like I just think like you're cooked. Like you won't feel like you need to do it anymore. And there might be people who tell me that's crazy, but like I'm sure that in your life you've had a thing where you're like, I'm gonna do this, and you've told someone about it, and then you're like, I don't really want to do it. Like it's just how it works, and it's like it's just, in my opinion, the worst thing you can do if you're trying to achieve a goal is to tell somebody in detail how you're going to go do that thing, because it takes all that dopamine away from doing the steps. You already got it. I just got it by telling you the steps of what I'm going to do. I don't need to go out and do the steps anymore, right?
What's the threshold for detail? Like, for example, I have 2 calls coming up. One is on Sunday and one's on Monday. It's with mastermind group. So groups of friends where I was like, I meet with these people typically every single month, and it's like we share our goals and we hold each other accountable. But like, what do you think that's a bad idea, and that'll give you the dopamine hit?
No, I don't, because I think that the point of talking to those individual people, it sounds like they're people who kind of like are very like-minded like you. And like the point is to kind of keep yourself accountable, where like, if you're like, okay, I'm going to do this thing, and then you have to go back and meet with those people and they're going to say, okay, well, did you do that thing? And you go, no. Now immediately you're getting that like negative feedback of like, well, why not? You said you were going to do it. I more so am talking about people who are going to give you that like instant gratification of like, if you told your mom, right, oh, I'm going to get jacked this year. And she goes, oh, that's great, sweetie. You're definitely going to do it. That's amazing. You're 100%, you're going to get that done. Now in my brain, I did it. I just did it, right? Like she's not going to come back and be like, oh, you skipped the gym, you fucking asshole. Like she's not going to say that to me, right? So like,
Yeah.
I'm more so talking about when if you're telling people to get that like instant gratification of like, wow, what a great idea. You're definitely going to do that. That I think is what derails you. If you're telling like a group of people where like the goal of that group is like, okay, you guys are going to hold me accountable for the things that I'm going to do, that's a completely different story in my opinion, because the point is to keep you like on track. And if you say you're going to do something, from what I understand about this group, they're going to call you out when you don't do it. Those people I think are fine to tell. I think it's more of like when you get that instant satisfaction of like, you're going to give me the dopamine hit I want, which is you telling me I'm so smart, I can do it, I'm so capable, blah, 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 blah. That I think is what stifles growth the most, because now I don't actually have to go out and do the thing for you to be proud of me. You're already proud of me for even having the idea that I want to do it.
Dude, that's so true. It's actually crazy you brought this up, because I was listening to something, I forget what it was, something the other day, and this guy was talking about oversharing and plans, and he was explaining why it's so detrimental to your growth. And the way he phrased it is, he's like, when you go and explain something, you get emotional validation,
Yep.
which gives you a dopamine hit, which, like you said, makes you feel like you already accomplished it. But at the same time, like a lot of the stuff with the whole corporate stuff for me, I didn't tell a single soul, like not a single soul, until it actually happened. Nobody, because inside it was like some weird concoction. It felt good. And if I would almost explain it, it's like visualizing this barrier. And every single time you keep it inside, when you want to share something, you take an inch closer to the barrier. And then every single day you take another inch, 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 inch. And the moment you do it, boom, you step over the barrier. That's the best way I can kind of describe the feeling. And there's a lot of power in that. But back to your story. So you hustled, dude. Like you seriously hustled to make this opportunity happen. I want to understand kind of on the front where you're sitting there and you're just outreaching like crazy and you're just hitting up these people. Do you remember how you phrased it? And it's like, why should you give me a chance? How did you go about that?
Yeah, I remember the one thing that I wanted to do with my outreach was just provide value to these people because they're in a position where I'm asking a stranger to essentially do me a favor, right?
Yes.
They have no they have no emotional tie to me. They don't know me. We're not friends. They never met me. They don't know how bad I want to do this thing. They don't quite frankly, they don't care. Like you've been in a corporate job. Like you reach out to people, like how many emails a day would you get? Like a million. Like there's no real reason for these people to want to help me, right? And I can't have my email say, "Well, I really want this thing really bad, so you have to help me." Like there's no value in them for them in that. So I remember the biggest thing that I tried to do and what I still tell people to do is you have to figure out a way that when you're outreaching and you're asking someone to do you a favor, what value can you provide to them, right? And in that moment, what I could do was I could give you the images and the videos that I took at the event for free. And you essentially now have extra help on hand because you're paying people to go out and do this job. And maybe some teams don't even have anybody who can go out there and do it. But, a small volleyball team at a D1 school might not have a photographer for the game and they still have socials that they got to run. They have parents that want to see photos and newsletters that they send out to fans and like stuff that they have to use for like, I don't know, to make schedule graphics and stuff. Like they need somebody to do that. And I'm like, okay, I can do that. They won't pay me for now, but that's the way that I can provide value to them. And I just like, that was the biggest thing that I was trying to do when I would outreach someone. Cause I'm basically saying, hey, you don't know me, do me a favor. So I got to give a little bit back to them where it's like, hey, do me this favor. And also, I'll hook you up with all the images that I got from the whole game. You can use them for whatever you want. I don't care as long as I can be there. So that was like the way I would phrase it was, hey, this is who I am. This is what I do. This is what I'm trying to do, which is basically, like, let's say it was to you. I'd be like, hi, Mr. Gross. My name's Beau Rochler. I'm a photographer, videographer from Long Island, New York. I'm trying to build out my portfolio and I was reaching out to you in the hopes that I could get a credential for a game. I'd love to come out and shoot this game completely for free. And you and your team are more than welcome to use anything that I capture from the game, like for whatever you need. Looking forward to hearing from you soon, Beau Rochler, with my phone number. That was it. Like that was a whole email. It was quick. It was, hey, can you help me with this thing? This is what I'm trying to do. Also, here's how I can help you. Hopefully I hear from you. That was it. That was the whole email. It wasn't like this big sob story of like, I really want to do this and I'm working this job that I hate. And but like no one cares. Like they don't feel that same emotional tie that I do. So for me, it was be short because I might have 10 seconds for somebody to read this email and show how I can provide value to the person that I'm essentially asking to do me a favor for completely free.
So it's like your number one thing for networking, you're trying to get someone to do a favor for you is speak in terms of the other person's interest 100%.
Yeah. I mean, well, think about it. Like anytime somebody asks you to do something, right? Like not like your mom or your best friend, but like somebody asks you to do me a favor. Like I think that majority of people, the first thing that their brain goes to is, well, what's in it for me? Right.
Yeah.
And like it, for better or for worse, I really do believe that like majority of people think that way. So if I'm reaching out to someone and they see, okay, this photographer who has no body of work wants to come and shoot one of my games, well, what the fuck do I get out of it? And it's like, oh, okay, I get a free photographer there that I can then use all of his stuff. Great. Okay, that actually works out really well for me. Yeah, okay, fine, you can have a pass. And what? All I need to do is just provide you with that credential. I don't have to pay you. I don't have to babysit you while you're there. I don't have to do any of that. And now I'm getting something in return. Okay, that sounds great. But if I had reached out and was like, hey, I'm a photographer. I want to come shoot this game. That's it. What the fuck's in it for me? Like, that's, I think, what I was trying to get past. And I'm trying to put myself in the shoes of the person that's reading the email. Okay, what are they going to think when they read this? And in my head, it was always, well, what's in it for me? And the best thing that I could provide at the time, the only thing I could provide at the time were my services for free. And it was like, okay, you can essentially have everything that I get as long as you help me out. You scratch my back, I scratch yours. That was basically the way that I was trying to outreach at first.
So a lot of this has to do with opportunity. I think there's three different elements to an opportunity. It's like your mindset going into one, doing good business, and then maximizing opportunity, follow up after, and maintain and grow from that. So one thing about an opportunity, and this is seriously the most important part about every single thing, is like mindset going into something. Let's just say, for example, you got in touch with an NBA player, and I'm pretty sure this happened, but it's like, uh, Carl Anthony Towns wants to bring you out and film for a day. It's a lot of pressure right there. So in your mind, I'm sure you're going to like, oh my God, what do I have to do to make this amazing? I need to make this guy like me, da 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 da. But all that internal talk can actually probably screw some stuff up. So, for example, this mindset, you start getting these opportunities. For the kid out there that is in a similar situations doing stuff. Now they're getting opportunities. They have to go out and perform, but they're in their head a little bit. What advice do you have? And what did you do to just get the freaking mindset right, first of all, before even doing work?
Yeah. I mean, the number one thing for me is I knew that I had the foundation of I taught myself everything that I possibly could before I went out and did my first event, right? And like if I went into that first event and I didn't know shit about my camera and I didn't know how to use it and I didn't know how to edit and I didn't know how to do any of that, I'm going to make myself look like an idiot because I'm going to go, they're going to say, "Oh, let me see the photos." They're going to be terrible and then I'm never going to get invited back to anything. So the first thing I did was like I leaned on that like, okay, I did hours of work to prepare myself for this. Like I know what I'm doing. And of course there was like some nerves and like, like it's natural. Like, and if you're not nervous about something, especially something new, I think like that's kind of an issue in itself. Like you should kind of use that to like fuel yourself and be like, okay, like why am I nervous about this? Because I care about it. And I care about it because I want to be best at it. And so I think you kind of use those nerves. But the first thing was the foundation of like, okay, I taught myself everything I needed to know. And I learned the hard skills first so that I can go out and perform afterwards. Right. You mean you played college baseball. Imagine if you were like, yep, I'm this great baseball player. And then you never played before. And you get up and your coach is like, all right, you're up. And then you get in the box and you've never seen a pitch before. And you're like, boom, 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 strike three, you're out, done.
Yeah.
Like you can't go into a situation without like preparing yourself first. So that was like the first thing that I did, right? But like before my first thing I ever shot, I was like, I know how to do this. Like I know how to do this. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But I know how to do it because I taught myself. The other thing I'll say is that when you're working for free, I think there's a lot less pressure on you to perform. And that's not to say that you shouldn't try your hardest and do the best that you can, but you kind of have a safety net of, well, I'm not getting paid for this and I'm doing it on my own dime. So if I go to this game and I fuck it up so bad and I do a terrible job, no one's paying me. No one's going to have like a financial tie to the work that I'm doing. So that always helped me a little bit where I was like, it's for someone else, but really at the end of the day, selfishly, it's for me to get better and get reps and whatnot. So like, I always kind of fell back on like, well, if it's for free, I don't owe anybody really anything at the end. I told them I would send them my photos. If they don't like them, they don't like them, but I'm not getting paid for doing this. So there's a little bit less pressure on myself. And then the last thing was once I had done a couple of things and, I'm starting to send out work to people and I'm like, hey, here's my portfolio if you want to see what my work looks like. And they come back and they say, oh, your work looks great. We'd love to credential you for this. Now I go there and if I'm feeling nervous, I'm like, well, what the fuck? Why do I feel nervous? They looked at my work. They saw what I can do and they said, this guy's great. Let's get him here. There's a reason why people start to say yes to you and it's because your work is good. If you send out a portfolio and it sucks, and if you send out any of your work and it's, I don't care if you're a photographer or a chef or like literally whatever you want to do, or you want to be a singer, and you send out a portfolio of work of you singing and it sucks, no one's going to say yes to you. The only way you're going to start to get yeses is if the work that you're doing is quality. And then you should lean on the fact that okay, there's a reason why I'm here because they saw my work, they know what I can do, and they know that I'm good at it. So that's why I'm here in the first place. That's kind of like the three things that I leaned on the most, especially in the beginning, where I was like, do I really deserve to be here? Like, I don't know. That imposter syndrome hits no matter what you do. It's like impossible, I think, to get away from it. I think it's just the way that our brains work is like, now that I'm here, it's like, fuck, do I really deserve to be here? Like, am I going to mess this up? Like, those are the things that I leaned on the most was just like the foundation of work, learning the hard skills first, knowing you have the skills. Then the fact that like, there's really not a ton of pressure in the beginning. Like no one really expects you to be this. No one's paying you $1 million to be there, right? No one is expecting you to do this amazing, fantastic, unbelievable job in your second thing you've ever shot, especially when you reach out and you say like, hey, I'm just trying to build myself right now. Like I don't think anyone expects you to be the greatest of all time, right? So I mean, that was kind of the way that I just talked myself out of that imposter syndrome. And to be honest, I still get it sometimes. Like, it's hard to
It's
not.
it's inevitable. Yeah, it's always gonna come. But how okay, so you get the opportunity. Now we're moving into kind of playing the game a little bit, right? Playing the people game. So opportunity, boom, you do good business, which is huge. I think that's really what kind of summarized up there's a big part of that is you have to do good business. You do good business, you send these people the free photos. Now what's going through your mind? It's like, how do I maximize this opportunity? How do I maybe weave my way in? How do I monetize? How do I expand from there? What's your advice for playing the game once you get an opportunity?
Yeah. So I actually think this is like something that's super important to me. I've had some pretty cool experiences off the back of like, you get this first opportunity, second opportunity, right? Like you get this little lemon, right? And it's this opportunity. And like you can get a little juice out of that lemon. You can go, you you do a good job. I take some photos, I send them after someone is happy, great. Or I go there and I talk to every person who will listen to me talk. There's 12 other photographers there. I go over, hey, my name's Beau. How long have you been doing this for? Oh, hey, Beau, I'm John. I've been doing this for 10 years. No way, 10 years, that's a long time. What, why are you here? Oh, well, I actually work for the Knicks and my nephew is playing in this game. So, I'm here shooting it for him. Holy shit, you work for the Knicks? How'd you get, like, that's just like how that happens. And I
Uh-huh.
think that like the most important thing is like, when you start getting these opportunities, yes, the goal, and I keep using photography as an example because that's like what I was doing in the beginning. But like when you get your first opportunity, the goal, right, is to go there and build out my portfolio and take some good photos and make somebody happy with them afterwards. But like the real goal is to like start expanding my own network and who I know and who they know and how can these other people help me and how can I help them. And like I remember I think we were talking about this. I went to a Nike event, like it was on Long Island. It was a Nike basketball event or something. And there's like, I don't know, there's got to be like 100 people shooting this game. And I'm like, holy shit, these are a lot of people that I can go talk to. And I just like struck up a conversation with a dude who I recognized from Instagram. And we were talking and then we ended up like doing a couple other things. We followed each other on Instagram and just like off the back of seeing him and being like, hey, I think I know you. Did you post this video? And he was like, yep. Now he's a, I guess I can, he's Isaiah Hartenstein, Oklahoma City Thunder world champions, personal videographer. He's there he's back and forth from Boston to there every week. And he's one of those people that I can just text on my phone and be like, hey, I made this video. What do you think? How can this be
Yeah.
better? What can I do here? And that's off the back of just like, all I did was walk up to him and say, hey, did you make this video? I think I know you. And just start a conversation. That was it. And like, if you don't do that, no matter what, I don't care if you want to do photos or like you want to be a club promoter or like, it doesn't matter what you want to be. Like, if you're not taking the time to network and talk to people, like I could have taken the photos, delivered them, and that was it. And I wouldn't have met anybody there. I would be worse off for it. But like, when you have an opportunity, you got to make the most of all the things that come with that opportunity. And networking usually is the biggest one. Go talk to everyone that's there. And if they don't want to talk to you, they're probably just an asshole anyway. So like,
Yeah.
they're probably not a great person in the industry anyways, right? Like, go up, say hi. And if someone's like, fuck off, I don't want to talk to you, then they're probably not that well connected anyway, because they probably do that to everyone. But like, you'll see more often than not, most people will be like, yeah, dude. Oh, this is your second event. Yeah, dude. I remember mine. Like, how can I help? Like, that's like how people are, I think.
Yes. The crazy part is, and I didn't understand this until I moved out of Wisconsin, because I mean, you don't have many big fish in Wisconsin, but now I'm in New York City, and you really start to realize like every single person you walk past on the street or you interact with could be doing massive things. You have no idea who you're talking to. Literally no idea who you're talking to. A small example, and this isn't crazy, but one of the things I do in New York since I'm there is every Sunday I'll go and I'll rank a Catholic church. So this past Sunday, or maybe it was a couple weeks ago, I was in a Sunday and this girl was sitting right next to me, and she was young, like just a young girl sitting next to me. I post a video, and I see this comment on my thing with the next to blue check mark next to it, and it's like, "Hey, I was sitting next to you." I'm like, "What?" I tap it. It's this girl, bro, and she's a content creator too. And she's got, I mean, she wasn't massive, but she's probably had 15,000 followers. And she's like, dude, you have no idea who is around you. And I think it actually ties back to the idea. And you seem like someone who does this. Like every single person you approach, it seems like you speak to everybody the same. It's like the principle, like if you communicate with the CEO or the janitor, you should try to go and do it the same. But I think the biggest hard part is a lot of people, including myself, we sometimes view the world in hierarchy. And what I mean by that is like when you're at that networking event and there's this huge guy that's shooting, you know what he does and you know he's very successful. So in your head, for some reason, you get a little bit psyched out and you're like, oh, now I got to people please. Like there's a lot on the line to lose in this interaction. I think sometimes that's what happens in my mind. And I know it happens in the mind of other people, but it doesn't seem like you have that fear.
I actually think I would disagree with you, and I don't think that there's a lot on the line to lose when you go up and introduce yourself to someone, especially somebody that doesn't know you. Like, you go to this big networking event and you see this guy who's like a big fish, quote unquote, in your industry. Oh, wow. If he doesn't like me, then how am I ever going to get it? He doesn't know you. And if you go up to him and you make a fool of yourself and you embarrass, and which wouldn't happen. This is like the worst case scenario, but you go up and you embarrass yourself, you make a fool out of yourself. One, he doesn't know you. So your situation does not change in the slightest. He didn't know you beforehand. He probably won't remember your name afterwards, and he'll go on with his day after. So like, what's the worst thing that happens? Okay, fine. You stumble over your words a little bit. Like, who cares? Also, I think that a lot of these people, especially like the bigger you get, I think the less people come and approach you for the principle that you just said, right? Where like people are nervous to come up and approach you because, and this does not happen to me, but like people are nervous to come up and approach you because they're scared of you. Like they're nervous around you. So it happens less. And I think that those people respect someone who comes up to them and says like, hey, I know you're this person. I do this too. Would love to just, chop it up with you for a second, or like just wanted to come over and say hi. Like, I think that those people like that type of interaction because it doesn't happen all the time. It's like when you see like a video of like a celebrity at like dinner and like people are like, can I take a picture? Blah, blah. Like that's annoying. But like the guy that walks up and is just like, yo, like, I don't know, Travis Kelce, what's up, bro? Just like gives him like a dap and just walks by. Like that's interaction for him because that doesn't happen. So like the more you can just kind of be like, I have nothing to lose from this interaction. Like he doesn't know me right now. And if it goes poorly, he won't know me then. And what fucking difference does that make for me? It doesn't make any difference. You don't lose anything. No one else is going to be like, oh my God, Anthony Gross tried to talk to this guy at this event. And like, nobody knows that. It's just the two of you guys talking. Like nobody, like that's not, and I think our brains go to worst case scenario all the time, but that's not going to happen. I don't think you have a lot to lose. I think you have more to lose by not introducing yourself than you do by making a fool of yourself. That's what I think.
It's well said, and that's a good mindset. It actually reminds me. So I had this guy, dude. I've went down the rabbit hole of pickup artists. I don't. Have you ever gone down that rabbit hole and like been fascinated?
Yeah, you had one on. Didn't you have like a one on the other day, or like a men's dating coach or something like that?
Yeah. So I've had 3 of them on. This guy was a little bit younger. Then I had Mystery, who's arguably the most famous pickup artist in the world. Like he had a Hollywood show, VH1, but whatever. The thing that this guy said the other day, his name's Chris Goldie, and we were talking about going and approaching girls and breaking it down between day game and night game. And he's like, anybody in their right mind, when they have a little bit of liquid confidence, can go up to a girl at night and say, hey, I think you're cute, and start talking. But he's like, if you go up to a girl in the day, even if you don't know what to say and you don't want to say a basic line, he's like, just say the basic line. Just go up to a girl during the day and say, hey, I think you're cute. And because you're doing it during the day, when nobody else would ever have the balls to do it, there's a whole nother level of respect that's put on your name. And it's very similar to the concept that you just broke down with this whole networking thing.
Yeah, no, I mean 100%. It's basically the same point of like nobody else is going to come up and like nobody's going to go up to the girl in the day and say the thing that you would say at night, and no one's going to go up to I don't know, whoever the biggest guy is at whatever event you're at. Like it kind of takes a little bit of balls to go up and say that to somebody. Just like be like, hey, I think I know you. Like, I'm a big fan. Whatever you want to say, I don't care. Like, it doesn't matter. But like it takes a certain like set of balls to go up and do that, and I think that people respect that. Like I do. Like I think that like the more that you kind of, I don't know, put your balls on the table for lack of better wording and like go up and say hi to somebody that maybe you have no business talking to, like I think that they would be like, dude, like what, like I respect. What's your name? What's up? Like that's, I think, kind of that same, you know, like same concept of like, you know, talking to the girl during the day. Anyone can do it at night. You get drunk enough, you go up to any girl you want, you make a fool of yourself. You don't really think about it either. Like,
Yeah.
so like, what's the like what the difference is? You got to take 6 shots before you go up to somebody at a networking event. Like, that's not the difference. Just fucking do it.
Yo, what's the deal with Army? I had a friend that went to the Air Force, and he told me some crazy stories of what's happening there. What's it like working at West Point?
Dude, it is. So I actually don't work at West Point anymore as of last week, but it was one of the craziest experiences of my life. And I don't think I'll ever be in a more unique place, maybe for the rest of my life. Truly, I mean that. Like the, just like so obviously, you know, for anyone that doesn't know, Army is the United States Military Academy. They literally eat, sleep, breathe, train Army officers. And those are people that lead the Army. Like, and that's what these kids go to school there to do. And they do that stuff before they're athletes. Like everywhere else, right? Like all these other college football programs, they're athletes and then they're students afterwards, right? They're like, you know, student athlete. That's like not how it works at majority of schools. They're athletes and then like they have tutors and they don't really give a shit about school and like whatever. At Army, they are students first. They do all of the things that they have to do during the day, school, military, otherwise, and then they practice at night. And that's like after it's like an extracurricular activity after like high school where like everyone practices at like the same time. That's how it works there. It takes a certain type of kid to go to school there and to be surrounded by them. I really do think changed kind of like just my outlook on life and how I conduct myself as a person and the things that I value and you know just like in general as a human. I think that being surrounded by that caliber of person all the time kind of like changed just who I am and how I interact with the world. Truly, I do believe that.
Was there a specific story or moment that you can remember that changed your worldview?
Yeah, I'll tell you. So our guys, they don't really go home. Like they go home sometimes during breaks. Like if you're a freshman, you go home, I think one time for Christmas break, and that's the only time that you get to go home. I went to college. I was in a fraternity in college. I had all of the freedom in the whole world. I lived in a frat house for 3 years. Like I didn't do, like I had no one telling me what to do, where to be, when to be there, any of that. And I just remember like we played a game and it was one of our first home games, my first year there. And after the game, these guys are like, they're like in our tunnel, their whole families are there. They're giving their parents like these huge hugs. And I'm like, oh yeah, all right. Like their mom got to watch them play or whatever. And then like afterwards, I would hear them saying like, yeah, I haven't seen my mom in like 3 months. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like I could go home whenever I wanted to go home. Like there was no, like they stay there for the summer. They do trainings there. And then like, they just sacrifice like literally everything. And like, I remember them telling me that like, you know, their buddies from home would be like, oh, my buddies are in Nashville for spring break and I got to go to this military training. I'm out in the fucking field, you know, like learning how to throw grenades or some dumb shit like that. Like, and I'm like,
Jeez.
dude, like these are people, these are 18 to 22-year-olds. So like, they're not very far off from you and I. And like, they essentially sacrificed being a kid or a young adult for something bigger than themselves. And they have, it's not like they're like complaining like, fuck it, I don't want to do this. They can leave at any time before junior year, but they can leave and not do it. But they choose this hard path that like not that 99.9% of people do not choose. And then they just fucking live it. And they just balls to the wall every day. And kind of like what you were saying, where like you have to get up at 5:30 for baseball, right? And you have no other choice. Like they're up at 6 a.m. for formation. They have no other choice. They're getting yelled at if not like, and they just go. And I was like, wow, I lived my whole life. And I just, the things that I thought were hard in life were just like not even close to some of the things that these guys are doing and dealing with physically and mentally every day. And it kind of just changed. I was like, wow, like I should be more grateful for little things, like the fact that I can go home whenever I want and go see my parents or see my siblings or go see my friends or like anything like that. Like I can at night I can go, and if I wanted to stay outside till 3 o'clock in the morning, I can do that. Like they have taps, like there are people walking around making sure they're in their rooms, like just little things like that where I was like, wow, like I should just be more grateful about the things that I have the ability to do that I kind of overlook all the time. Um, and sorry, that was a little bit of a ramble as well, but like,
You know what that is? It's called like a paradigm shift. Um, and like there's certain moments in your life that completely shift your world perspective and view. I think one of the recent ones for me was it was in August. I flew down to Miami to film a day in the life and film a podcast with this guy named Justice Parmer, CEO of Fortuna Investments. Massively, massively successful guy. Um, and it was such a paradigm shift because for the first time now I'm traveling for content, which what I love doing. So it opens my eyes and is like, there is a need for this in the world. You could actually probably do this full time. The second thing was I was able to spend a day with this guy and go to this guy's house. And you want to see real money? I saw real money. And what seeing real money does is it opens your little narrow tunnel vision to what you can actually do in your life, especially if you go to a place like Miami. My God, everywhere you go, there's a Lambo, there's a Ferrari, there's a G-Wagon, and these kids are like 20, 22 years old. I'm like, how the fuck are you getting all this stuff?
yeah, yeah,
But at the core of it, what it does is it opens your eyes and expands your worldview. Also with this army thing, I'm curious about standards. Everything in like culture and in business, it's like high standards win. An example of what I'm saying is like just for my baseball team, when we had to go to lifts, we always had to have our shirts tucked in. We always had to have our hats on forward, sunglasses on back so it wasn't covering up the logo, and hair could not be shown. That's an example of standard. Were there examples of standards that you saw at Army?
dude, there, it's like the standard capital of the US. Like everything, like from from like no hats inside the building to like, and you would see like kids would walk in, they'd have on their full uniforms. Every single one of them in line as they would walk in would just hat off behind the back. They'd continue to walk. Like it was just everything. The plates in our weight room on the bottom, they all say Beat Navy on them. So they have like the Army logo and then they say Beat Navy across the bottom. They have to be armied up, which is like they're all lined up exactly the right way with the words so that you can read them. And if you go in there, every rack looks the exact same as the rack next to it. And there's 50 of them that stretch all the way down. Like it's everything. Like they're all in the same clothes when they go to practice, if they have a lift, if they do anything. Like, and that's I think stems from the whole military army thing where like they have, you know, they have to be clean shaven. Their hair can't be a certain length. Like there's all these different rules that they have to kind of abide by. And that just kind of sets the standard of like, okay, well, if you're going to do them there down in the core of students, you're also going to do them up here in the football facility. And we're going to do everything a certain way. And it kind of changed the way that I viewed my own work because I was like, well, all right, what are my standards? Like, do I have my own like things that are non-negotiable for me when it comes to my work? Like, do like, and it kind of had that same like worldview shift where it's like, okay, well, if they can make sure that they're doing all these things every day, well, maybe I should set some things that I do every day. And maybe it's, you know, like it's just like little things that I would do like at my desk or like as I'm editing or like just putting in a certain amount of effort every time I do something and not just doing something just to like get it done and like hand over like a shit product just to like be done with it. But like everything that they do is just to a T. They're in the same uniform, walking around in the same order. They're standing in fucking height order at a formation in the morning. Like they do
Damn.
the same thing every day. They all go to lunch together. They all go to breakfast together. They all go to lunch together. They all go to dinner together at the exact same time every day. They sit at the same table in the same seat. Like it's just repetition. And like that kind of changed my view of like, okay, well, if I just do the same things quality over and over and over, I will also get better at my own craft. So like it kind of shifted me a little bit in the sense where I was like, you know what? Like I should have better, higher standards for myself and the work that I do because look at all the shit that they have to do. I don't have to do any of that. So I could just put a couple of things onto what I do and make myself way better than I was yesterday and the week before and the year before and so on and so forth.
Is there an example of that? Because something I struggle with too a lot is it's like, oh, you can have so much motivation at times and you're doing 110%, but then sometimes that'll fade and you'll get a loss and then you'll just drop here and your standards are fall and your consistency will fall. but being more level and steady headed with your work, was there an example of like you really saw that pay off once you started doing X every single day?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you something that they say all the time. We have a strength coach who all the time they preach that motivation is fleeting, and that if you live your life trying to just do things off of motivation, you're never gonna get anything done. Because like you're right, like you wake up, it's 3 o'clock in the morning, you're doom scrolling reels, and you're watching like fucking David Goggins tell you that like you got to run a million miles, and you're like, I'm doing that tomorrow, and then you wake up and you're like, fuck, I'm going back to fucking bed. Like that's just what happens when you kind of try to operate off motivation, and it's fleeting. Like it doesn't do what discipline does. And discipline is like, I'm gonna do the thing whether I fucking want to or not, because I told myself I'm gonna do it, and that's my standard. So like I would like these guys would go to like class for 8 hours a day, and then they'd come and they'd have a lift, and they're like, dude, fuck this, but like we got to do it. And it's just like, holy shit, like you can do that. And I'm kind of bitching about like I gotta I don't know, label some footage or like whatever. And like it's just like that whole concept of motivation versus discipline is a huge thing that they talk about a lot, and it's kind of just like rubbed off on me because of just all the meetings and all that stuff that I've been in. And like it's very interesting to me because you can tell certain people will act on motivation, and like it's they'll do things and they'll do them for like a week, and then like that's it, because like they're not motivated anymore. Where like discipline is like you fall to the level of your like lowest standards, which is like I'm gonna lift every day. And like if you don't lift every day, like that's not your standard. But like whatever that low bar that you've set for yourself, we would try to put it somewhere where even if that was the maximum effort that you could give for that day, it's more than 99.9% of other people, right? And then when you're really giving 100%, that is just like astronomical levels away from everyone else. But like if you when shit is hard and you're tired and you're sick and you don't feel like doing stuff, you fall to that lowest level of standard that you have set for yourself, which is whatever the thing is. Like for you, maybe that's I need to get one person on my pod. I need to do this amount of outreach every week. Like I need to post this many videos, and like that is what your lower standard is. And yeah, you're gonna have weeks where you do more than that, post double whatever, like whatever it is. But that standard for yourself is what the discipline line is. And the motivation, maybe some weeks you're more motivated, so you go higher than that. But like you can't fall below that level of discipline, or else that's when you start to fuck yourself. Like you're not getting the same level of output that you should be getting because your standard is actually lower than where you think it is.
So those guys at Army, what they would do, it sounds like they would just set a non-negotiable baseline with everything they did. It's a non-negotiable baseline.
Yeah.
And when you're running on 2 hours of sleep and your girlfriend broke up with you and whatever else happened, you have to hit this at the minimum. But when stuff's going good, boom, then we can rise above. And that's your definition of consistent output.
Yeah. And I think that like everyone needs to have, you need to set non-negotiable like outputs with yourself, or inputs rather, with yourself. Like if you are going to wake up at a certain time, you get up at that time. And the more promises you make to yourself where you're like, I'm going to do this, and then you don't do it, that you start to slip in other areas of your life where like, I'm going to wake up at this time, and then you don't wake up at that time. And then you're like, okay, like I'm going to go to the gym today. I'm going to take a rest day. Like, all right, I'm going to post content. Well, I took a rest day, so I'm not going to post that content because today is a wash anyway. And then like the next day becomes a wash, and then the next day becomes a wash. And it's like, oh, okay, well, this whole week was a wash. I'll just start again on Monday. Like that, when you don't have like systems in place that keep you from falling out of your natural rhythm of what you're trying to do, that's, I think, what happens. And you fall out, and you have to have these, I'm going to do this every day. And if I don't do it, then, whatever the I don't know, you have to figure that out amongst yourself. But like my lowest level of output in the day is I'm going to do this, this, and this. That is 100%. And usually I find that if you do those things, you end up doing more in a day anyway, because you feel like you've gotten some shit done. We're like, I'm going to work out at 7 a.m. every day. And it's like, you get up and you work out. Maybe you're tired, but when you're done working out, you're not tired anymore. You're like, okay, fuck it. I did it. Like, let's go.
Dude, that's literally the code right there. And that is why heartbreak ruined my life. Because heartbreak gave me unlimited motivation. I was the king of the world, bro. I could outwork anybody. I was the most disciplined in my life. Everything was incredible, but it's inevitable after some amount of time that the feeling of just
hate
I'm
is
gonna make this
insane.
girl, yeah, rage, and like this girl's gonna pay. It falls off, unfortunately. I wish it could last forever. And then so I'd go on these stretches and stuff was amazing, so disciplined. But then as time faded, I just like started becoming a much it's just like not as hard of a worker and gaining weight and making excuses. And I just kept wondering, like, dude, what is it? Why isn't it there? How do I get back this motivation and fuel and this heartbreak? But at the core of it, I was just relying on external forces to kind of pick me up. And I had no systems. I had no formulas in my life. I had no baseline. Like I didn't have discipline. I was relying on something, as you said, was fleeting. And that kind of screwed up a lot of stuff in my life
Yeah.
instead of just relying on those baselines.
Yeah.
It's a
I
very good
remember,
point.
I had a very similar story. I got cheated on, and then for like the 6 months afterwards or 5 months afterwards, I was like, I'm gonna fucking. I was in the gym every day. I'm doing this. I ate the same 3 meals every day for like 6 months. I think I lost like 65 pounds or something insane like that. And granted, like I haven't put all of that back on, but like it's hard. Like it's hard to like continue when you don't have that internal like source of like this is why I'm fucking pissed and I'm gonna do something about it when things are like not that bad. It's like it's hard to get yourself to do shit that sucks. Like that's just it is what it is. Like that's plain and simple vanilla. That's what it is. It's hard for you to get yourself to do shit that sucks when you don't have like an internal fire that's like this is why I'm doing those things.
I think also something that I've been trying to figure out because I take my New Year's planning so seriously, bro. I've probably spent the past 2 weeks trying to figure out definite chief aim, skills to master, goals, systems, formulas. There's some other stuff too, but one thing I'm really trying to my word of the year, I'll share it right here, is consistency. Like it's literally what we're talking about right now. It's consistency. I'm trying to figure out how to be more consistent when motivation is not there because I need urgency in my life. And I keep coming back to the concept. And sorry, this isn't for girls. Like, I don't think girls will be able to relate to this. I keep coming back to the concept where I'm 22 years old. I'm taking a big leap of faith leaving corporate America. It's time to start acting like a man. To seriously start acting like a man. That means God is in your life. That means there are certain things that are non-negotiable. That means not giving in to your feelings. That means being a leader. That means bringing up people with you. That's the standard for being a man. And men don't let their emotions fluctuate. And when the heartbreak motivation's not there, I just sit in and be a bitch. That's not part of what being a man is. And that's a whole nother thing I'm starting to figure out is kind of part of that, setting that baseline standard. The standard at the baseline is it's time to be a man. And I think whether that's my life or your life, it's identifying what are the elements of what it means to be a good young man. And that is always your standard baseline. And it's been a thought I've been running through my mind. And I think it's going to be a huge driving factor for me in 26.
Yeah, 100%. And I always think of like now, I don't know. I feel like it's the younger you are, I feel like the easier it is to just kind of be like, oh, well, I'll just figure that out later. Like my dad is fucking 67 years old and the dude's up at 5 a.m. every day going to work, doesn't bitch, doesn't complain, goes to work in the dark, comes home in the dark. That's just what he does. And like, it's just like what you're saying about like, you're to be like a good man, you just gotta fucking deal with shit that sucks sometimes. And that's just what it is. Like, you can't let your feelings get in the way of everything that you do. Like you just sometimes you have to do things because it's just what you have to do as a man for the people that you take care of, and that's just how it works. And you can, and if you don't do that, then the people that rely on you are going to find someone else to rely on, and that's just the
Right.
truth of the matter. Like if there are people in your life that rely on you to be the best version of yourself, and you don't do the things that make you the best version of yourself because you think that they're hard and they suck, they will find someone else to rely on. And like a lot of these guys that are like, oh, I don't know why my girlfriend broke up with me. Well, you don't do anything that you say you're going to do. You say you're going to go get in shape and then you don't do it. You say you're going to start this thing and you don't do it. You have this job that you hate and you do nothing about it. Like, why would anyone want to spend their time with someone that does shit like that? Like, you have to do things that suck in order to make gains in every part of your life. Like, waking up and going to the gym every morning, yes, physically you will see gains, but you also will see like your relationships get better because you're putting in effort into things in your life that care about you. So then that just bleeds over into everything else, like into your relationships, into your work, into everything that you do, because you got up early and you did that thing that sucked in the morning. You went to the gym and you do that every day. And you see that like in other aspects of your life, things are starting to like get better and work out for you. And like, oh, wow, I'm getting so lucky here. Like, no, you're not. You're putting in the effort into things that you care about. And that's why they're starting to work out. It's not because you're getting lucky. And yeah, I guess luck is part of it, but like the more effort you put into something, the luckier you're going to get. And that's just how it works.
It's primal, bro. Like for whatever's happening in society today, it's like they want to take toxic masculinity or whatever it is, or certain men should, whatever the fuck it is. Like, it's primal in our nature where men have, even in the earliest days, been the leaders of the households. They're the ones that go out, they hunt, and they do those jobs. And I say that because it's wired in girls' minds that they want to have a guy that's a leader and can go out and provide. I'm not saying that girls have to stay home and do this and that, but that's what they desire in a manhood. And it's just a whole nother element of why it's so important to, everything should just be revolved. I mean, seriously, just becoming the best leader as possible. Heartbreak's a beautiful thing that you can bond over with the boys and get
Yeah,
that stuff.
100%,
But
right?
dude, we've covered a lot. So we've covered the journey from step one corporate all the way to army. Is there anything else along that journey that was so fundamental to who you are, or you would just want to pass down to your previous self, or that 22-year-old, that 20-year-old right now that's ambitious, but just
Yeah.
doesn't have stuff floating for them?
Yeah. Sorry. I would say one of the biggest things that I learned is that like, or that I would go back and tell myself, is to start embarrassing yourself as fast as possible.
Mm.
And the reason I say that is because I had these ideas. Oh, I'm going to post this on Instagram. I'm going to do this. And then like everyone that you know in your head, it's like, well, what if this person sees it? What if they make fun of me? And what if it doesn't work? Just learn to embarrass yourself. And like the quicker that you do that, the quicker that things are going to start working out. Like I remember I recorded my first ever like Instagram video of me talking. Like I wanted to do it. I wanted to like start posting that stuff. And dude, literally I'm sitting there and you can't see my hands, but they're like this the whole time I'm talking. My hands are like vibrating and my voice is shaky. And it's like, if I go back and watch it, I can tell that I'm scared and nervous that I'm going to embarrass the fuck out of myself. And maybe I did. And maybe people sent my shit in group chats and were like, this is so fucking corny, dude. What is this guy doing? It, I don't think it's corny now. Like,
Yeah.
you know, you look at it now and I'll meet and not to be like, not to be like an asshole about it, but like I'll meet an NBA player now and they'll be like, yo, let me follow you on Gram. And then they look at my Instagram and they go, oh shit, that's you. And I have
Mm.
10 times the following that they do. And I'm like, is it fucking corny now? So if I could go back in time, I would go to the version of myself a year before I posted my first video and be like, bro, just fucking embarrass yourself. Just do it. Like it's, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out, but just learn to embarrass yourself and laugh at the things that you do. And like, just be humble and like allow the things that you like to just put them out into the world. And if people, anybody who seriously is making fun of anybody for trying to do something is a fucking loser. And I'll stand on that for my whole life. Like, if you send a friend's TikTok because you think it's embarrassing, I think that like that's, I don't know, I think you're kind of a fucking loser for that. Like trying is not weird. That's I guess the advice that I would get, like, or that I would give, is that trying is not weird and you're not a loser for trying something. You're a loser for making fun of somebody for trying something. And I would go back and I would tell myself that because I was so fucking scared to post that first video of myself and put myself out there and open myself up to judgment from strangers, that it paralyzed me for like years. And I was like, I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it. And then finally I did it and it worked. And I was like, holy shit, imagine I just did this a year before. Imagine
Yeah.
where I'd be at now. Imagine what I would be doing right now if I just started a year before. And I was so scared of being embarrassed. And I guess if I could go back, or I would talk to any 20-year-old or 22-year-old that like wants to try something, just embarrass yourself. Like you didn't, like, I don't know, you didn't care when you were a kid and you fell off your fucking bike. You just wanted to learn how to ride a bike so you could be with your boys. Like, you got to try things, and part of trying things is being bad at them and embarrassing yourself when you start. That's just how anything in life goes. You're going to be fucking terrible at anything when you first start it, and you just have to accept that fact. And if you can get over that fact, you can literally do anything that you want.
That's beautiful, Beau. We'll end it right there. Thank you, sir.